there is a problem with data collection in Egypt, and I happen to be a researcher, so I collect data. For other people, for other agencies, no, I have to have it here first.
Okay.
For other agencies, actually, I worked with the Canadian aid for some years, and I see what you have said regarding the social and the political impact, and I second Dr. Addah comment regarding the social. What I'm going to talk about here is the poverty and ashwaiyat, the slum areas. Those are not facing political problems, actually those are facing social issues. They have the degree, but they don't use it in a proper way. We have another issue, which is we have entrepreneurship as building kiosks. Kiosks does not mean that we have true manufacturing or true business. Sorry, I'm trying to consume time. But what we actually need to do is to emphasize the small and micro and small medium-sized organization. This means that we will have business at this time, not only transferring goods. Try this one now. Hopefully that will start. I have worked with this research for the past 5 years. As I said, I was helping a friend of mine who had a fund from the Canadian aid in Egypt. The other, yes.
This one?
Yes, ma'am. And this was before the revolution. And after the revolution, he visited me a month ago, and he talked about the need to come up with a model. Enough data. We have proved to other financing funding agencies in Egypt that we can do the job. Now provide us with a model. What do you want to do in Egypt in order to help poor young people to be strong, successful entrepreneurs? This is what we came up with, actually. I believe in what Gandhi had said, that poverty is the worst form of violation. I don't need to be brutal to violate other people. It's enough to be poor. That's all. The purpose of this research actually was to determine, again, the keyword, Juliana, was the long term. We believe that some of the old regimes invested in poverty. This is how we say it. They invested in poverty to regain control over the Egyptian people. Now we need a long term, because it's not an easy task, a long term role, a long-term policy to use entrepreneurship to play the role in job creation and in elevating, reducing the burden of poverty over the Egyptian people. Unfortunately, according to the World Bank, we have 40% of the Egyptian people below the poverty line, which is a big chunk of unused labor force. The design of the research actually depended on both desk research, which is a limited number of data available from authentic sources, and much more of qualitative research using depth interviews with key persons at certain places to collect their vision, to collect the data hidden in the drawers where no one talks about it, and it's not published clearly. This is, in 2009, actually, as per the Ministry of Economic Development, there was a poverty map drawn to Egypt. This table specifies, in 2009, the poorest villages in that year. Those are 1,141 villages, with about the number of poor households in those villages only reaches this amount. It's about 113,000 persons. This is a big number of Egyptian people. Almost 1 million, yes, true. The government of Egypt in 2008 started a huge program implementing a national project targeting the most vulnerable people. With what? With some helping aids, rations, cards, but not job creation. Actually, should have empowered the youth entrepreneurs entrepreneurial activities. What we're talking about here are people who can do the change. Those age intervals from 18 to 29, those are about 20 million Egyptians in this segment. We have a very young population that can do much, much more. Egypt is currently standing at a crossroad where either to turn those youth into a window for opportunity or a curse. We have to do something about it. Are they willing to do what is required from them? Yes, they are. Actually, yes, they are. We have a very lively spirit now in Egypt. Can we describe those youth? Actually, yes. 21.6% of the Egyptians, of all Egyptians, are poor. Poor as extremely poor. This is what we're talking about here. This percentage of youth is higher even. Yani among those 21.6, if I measured the percentage of youth between 18 to 29, it's a little bit even higher. So we have a huge amount of youth in poor situations. We need to use them as much as possible. These are some of the reports actually that was not that updated. It was in 2008. Through the interviews, the depth interviews with the key expert, I could validate that these numbers are still the same or about the same, or worse, actually. Some of them said so. Now we need to link the link between that vicious circle that esteemed keynote speaker was talking about. If I have a poor person and he has a family, his children will be poor, and this is a vicious circle that we need to break. So actually, the link between child and youth deprivation is a little bit annoying. We noticed here, according to the UNICEF report in 2010, indicates that almost half the children in poor income household experience at least one type of deprivation. This means education, health, shelter, nutrition, you name it, at least one. One, as per the keynote speaker presentation earlier this morning, this means that it will have an impact at a later stage over the income, over the ability to work. So this means we are entering a vicious circle that we need to break ASAP. The profile of al-ashwaiyat. We actually in Egypt, according to the Human Development Report, Egyptian Human Development Report, edition 2010, this was devoted to entrepreneurship, by the way. We have 15 million Egyptians reside in fast-growing informal settlements. This is the proper way of saying it. It's informal. Actually, we call it in Arabic ashwaiyat or slum areas. We have 15 million out of the 84 million. This is a big chunk. Both in urban and rural, and most of them are in urban. This is the issue. So these settlements surrounding the key cities, which means those are a setting bomb. We need to help them, otherwise we will be affected at the big cities. Those that live in those informal are considered poor. According to this report, only 10% of the youth living in ashwaiyat are considered extremely poor. Poor, not extremely poor. They earn more than £5 per day. This is the modified estimate for the Egyptian. Yes, yes. i.e., they have some means. And the other thing is, they are educated. They have certificates. They're not illiterate, so we can use them. The key statistics tells us the following, that individuals between age 18 and 29 are nearly 25% of the total population, and we have almost 1 million new graduates, enter the labor market each year. We don't have jobs for them. The governmental sector does not employ anymore, and it will not employ anymore in the future. The private sector is very weak in consuming those new graduates, i.e. we have to do something about them. So the rate of unemployment reached 10% in 2010, i.e. we have a big issue here. The only way to do it, I found actually a report about entrepreneurship in 2008. the results was a little bit annoying for me. The two age intervals, 18 to 24, 25 to 20 to 34, are the highest early stage entrepreneurial activities, i.e. after high school and university. This is the area. This is the age intervals that we had to focus on. And to notice that 15% is the entrepreneurial activity rate out of those who have Egyptian people within the age of 25 to 34. So actually the activity is about 15%. 15% of them won't actually work as entrepreneurs, have their own business. In another way, this is how we say it in Egypt, actually. Young people are considered a large portion, so we have an advantage here. We need to use it. 16.5% of the adults with university degrees were either actively involved in starting their own business in 2008 or already owned a business. So this is something in the mindset of the Egyptian to have my own business. Either I start at the very beginning. This is what I did. That's why Dr. Muhtasim is laughing. Or what I do to finish my career. Egyptians have certain beliefs. I have to own my home. I have to have my own business. This is a belief. If we nourish this belief, then we will have a community of entrepreneurs. Only 7.5% of the adult population have ever received any sort of official entrepreneurship education. So what they do is they do on their own. How they raise the fund? On their own. How do they select the business? On their own. How do they handle banking transactions? On their own. No one told them how even to draft a business plan. By the way, drafting a business plan is not part of the formal education in the Egyptian universities. I know, I have taught there. Egypt ranked 11th in the level of early stage entrepreneurial activities. Actually, among 43 countries. I think this is not bad, but it's not good. We need it to be first or second, because we have everything. We have the means for everything. The key insights, in 2010, 7% of Egyptian adults aged between 18 and 64 were actively trying to start their own business. While in summer 2008, that percentage was 13%. This is the burden of the old regime, actually, stopping people from acting. That's why I use the terminology of investing in poverty. We invested in this. Men are more than twice as entrepreneurially active as women in Egypt. Discrimination. While actually ladies do have the burden of caring for a family in Egypt. We have a huge segment of caring ladies. The micro and small, medium-sized organization represent 75% of the job opportunities. Almost 94% of Egyptian enterprises employ less than 5 workers. Those are, as per the international standards, micro-sized organizations. The entrepreneurship rate rises with education level, i.e., as Juliana said exactly, we need that those who have a high school degree, a university degree, those are the prominent segment that we need to focus upon. How can we reach them? The key direction is, as per my practical experience, we need education and training is a necessity. We have to tell them how to run their business. Another thing is, I have to increase the competitiveness at a macro level. This is something that the government has to do, but actually the first part is manageable. The challenges facing Egypt entrepreneurs is education and training. Those are in order. Education and training first. Infrastructure challenges. This is again for the government to do. Competitiveness and finance. Finance is the least of our challenges. But education and training, demonstrating to the financing body that I can do the job is the most important thing. This is, by the way, what the Canadian aid requested. Whomever brought her a proposal, the key factor, the key decision was based upon the ability to do the job. So I drafted, humbly, a proposed strategy. To me, the case of entrepreneurship training as a poverty alleviation strategy requires 6 pillars. Start with the education and training, financing support, awareness building, government support programs, regulatory framework, women empowerment. Those all together should be within what we call it an entrepreneurship center that has incubators. This is similar to the case of Turkey. This case happened in Turkey, and they succeeded in doing this job. So what we need is some sort of an entrepreneurship center. This, I don't know, okay, something is wrong here. I don't know what is it. To establish a center, actually we need the help of 4 parties. The universities, definitely, for education curricula, for example. But we still need the government for regulatory framework. And we need the private sector for mentorship. And we need the NGOs for matchmaking. So it's not one part, it's 4 integrated parts that has to go together. Do we have those parts in Egypt? Actually, we do. Are they integrated? Not. No. But we have the 4 parts in Egypt. But someone has to do the mediation between those parts. Someone has to put them all together in one place and provide them with similar, I'm not saying this one, but similar policy to tell them that it can be done if we put all our hands together. For example, at stage 1, I try to identify that I need a certain structure, and for each and every element there is a need, there is a reason. I need strategists to put the 5 to 10 years plan. Actually, typically what I saw from these programs before is a small 3 to 5 years, very generic plan that no one was committed to it. What I've specified is 5 to 10, i.e. long-term plan, detailed. Strategists should put this. The other thing is I need liaison. I need PR person who can help me put the 4 parts together. Then I need external advisory board, definitely, sorry. External advisory board. Those are who would help support successful entrepreneurship, and I need a high-level advisory and mentorship. Each and every person should have a mentor. A successful entrepreneur, a successful businessman who would help me as a new young entrepreneur to do the job. Learning by practice. Coaching, more of a coaching assignment. It's not only programs, it's more of a coaching assignment. And then have a secured independent funding program and an education. This is for stage 1. For stage 2, I need a 5-year plan out of the 10, detailed, covering training programs, solutions, research park and online resources, with monitoring and supporting mechanism. For the maturity stage, i.e. now I have an entrepreneurship center up and running, I need a venture fund outsourced to other professionals. So no longer I'm going to conduct fundraising, other sources can do it. And did we see this in Egypt? Yes. We have Children Cancer Hospital. They went through these stages, and I was one of their consultants, actually. I worked with them all through these stages. The other thing is to develop scholarship, create business incubators. Business incubators in Egypt is a very important thing to set the example for other entrepreneurs that we have a business, we got support, we got solutions at a very reduced prices, we got marketing through these incubators, and once this business is on its feet, it goes out, leaving its place to another entrepreneur to work with this. Actually, this is one of the last. another one only. So this education program has to go through 5 stages. The introduction, then developing ideas through different programs, commercial viability and business planning. I have identified actually the topics. This is the curricula was defined as per the interviews. The finance and other topics, the topics starting developing ideas till the other topics, we have a more advanced program. So if a person wants to be a more educated entrepreneur at a later stage, he can take a more advanced program and actually be responsible, for example, for equity and venture capital. It's not only how to finance this small project, he can raise money himself. So we have more developed programs, but not from the very beginning. And regarding the incubators, the key success, again, as per the experts' depth interviews, we have identified the key success factors to structure the incubators in Egypt, because this case happened once before in Egypt, in the Smart Village, and it was not that successful. So learning from that, I have identified the key success factors to be taken care of when we establish our incubator. And those are the items there for the monitoring and monitoring the performance. Those items were not available in the case with the Smart Village. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.